Welcome back to A Better Choice Homestead. Welcome to my kitchen. My name is Kelly, and on my channel, I focus on food, growing it, preparing it, and preserving it. I do 3 videos a week. On Sunday, I usually do a garden or food preservation video. On Tuesdays, I do a cook with me video, and on Fridays, I do a freeze dry video. Today is Tuesday, so welcome to another edition of Tasty Tuesday. On Tuesdays, I like to show home cooked meals that are loaded with nutrition, easy to make, usually under 30 minutes, something that you can quickly whip together that has phenomenal flavor. Today's gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna take a little bit longer to cook this one, but it's gonna be worth it. I am gonna be making an Instant Pot pulled pork with a quick slaw to top it off in. We're going to be eating those in tortilla shells, in some low-carb tortilla shells, but you can absolutely eat them on a bun as well. I'm going to start by making the dressing for the coleslaw so these flavors can start to meld together while we get the pork going. And this is really simple. So you have your choice when making this of using mayonnaise or Greek yogurt. I don't have any Greek yogurt in the house right now, so I'm using mayonnaise. It is 1 cup either or. Two tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons of honey, 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. This is optional. Some people don't like the flavor of mustard. I do. And then some seasonings of your choice. I'm going to start with a pinch of salt. Seasonings are always to taste. And you want to put less in probably than you think you'll need because you'll taste it and you'll adjust. If you put too much in, you can't take it out. So a little salt, a little pepper, and looking through my spices today, I decided I was going to go ahead and throw in some celery powder. This is, I think this is from the 2022 garden. I haven't used it up yet, so we're going to go ahead and get some in there. Just some freeze-dried celery powder. And some freeze-dried cilantro. If you have fresh herbs to use, even better. Smells so good. I love freeze-dried herbs. They really retain their aroma and their flavor. Okay, now we're just going to get this completely combined together. All right, that's it for the dressing. I'm going to pop this into the refrigerator. Our next step is to get the carrots, the red onion, and the cabbage shredded up, and then we're going to combine the sauce on top, and then the coleslaw will go into the refrigerator to marinate while we are cooking the pork. All right, so for the coleslaw, I am going to thinly chop up about half a medium cabbage. I'm just cutting it off to the side of the core, and I can add more if this is not enough. I've taken off the outer leaves, so this is good to go. And I'm just gonna thinly slice this cabbage. Now, we are in a heat wave right now, and it has been in the high 90s even day upon day. So that's why I did the dressing first and put that in the refrigerator. I don't want the mayonnaise sitting out. Even though I have the AC on, still just prefer it in the refrigerator. But I'm going to be grabbing that out and mixing that in with this here in just a minute. All right, I'm gonna just set this aside, get these in the bowl, just kind of break them up a little bit. I've got a red onion here. He's not the prettiest. Let's see how he looks on the inside. Oh yeah, he's good. And I'm just gonna thinly slice this onion. Kind of as thin as I can get it with just using my knife. Yes, I own a food processor. Yes, I could throw all of these in there to shred them up. I don't want to. I don't want to have to clean my food processor. The least amount of work I have to do when I'm done cooking, in my book, the better. If I was having to shred a ton, actually that's probably enough onion. If I was having to shred a ton, I would probably get the food processor out. So that was about 1/3 of a small red onion. And I've got my rings here. I'm just taking the outside of the peel off. And then I'm just going to slice it down the middle. So now we have some longer, thin strips that are going to be going in here as well. You can leave the onion out if you don't like onion. I really like onion. Although red onion is kind of a commitment, but this is dinner, so it's not like I'm going to be talking on people for an entire day with red onion on my breath. All right, I have 3 organic carrots here, and I'm going to use my box grater. Yes, I'm going to use my box grater. I've done this before on my egg roll in a bowl, and I know a lot of people had comments about, use your food processor, it'll go quicker. It probably would, but to me, it's not all about the speed, right? I like to come in contact with my food when I'm preparing meals. It's how I deliver the love and the care that I'm giving to my family. I will use my food processor. I love my food processor. It has a place. It just doesn't have a place in everything that I do. And using a box grater to shred carrots, super simple. It's just one little thing I have to clean. And to boot, when I am down to the nitty-gritty on the carrot, I'm going to stop so I don't shred my fingertips. And then my dogs get that, and they really appreciate that. So these carrots are washed but not peeled, and that's fine by me. They are organic. They did not get sprayed with a lot of pesticide. I got a couple little carrot pieces here for my dogs. Another little piece of carrot for my dogs. And if you prefer to use your food processor, or you have another way that you like to shred carrots, by all means. That's the beauty of cooking. There's so much versatility in the ingredients that you can put in, especially around the herbs. There's versatility in the way that you do it or can do it. That's what gives every dish a unique personality, and it's a reflection of you. It's part of the joy of cooking. And I definitely don't want these julienne. That'd be too tedious to julienne these to the thickness that I would prefer. So I want them shredded. So again, that was about just under 1/2 of a medium head of cabbage, about 1/3 of a small onion, and almost 3 medium organic carrots. And that is good on carrots. And my dogs are going to fully appreciate those carrot sticks. They are all right here waiting for them. All right, so we've got our carrots in there. The other thing I'm going to add, totally optional, I want to add a few raisins. I just bought these because I ran out. This is a tear notch, but I'm not able to tear it, so there we go. Raisins are just going to add that little bit of extra sweetness in there. If I can open these. I don't have the best hand strength. I have problems with my hands. You know what? I'm going to cut that. I am just going to cut those open. And if they don't reseal, which, yeah, they'll reseal. But if they didn't, I would just pour them into a glass jar. All right, not a lot, just a few. I bought these because I need them or want them for my salads. I really like raisins in my salad. So that's just gonna add a little kick of sweetness. That's probably, I don't know, 1/4 cup worth of raisins. All right, so I'm gonna get this mixed up a little bit here. That looks good. And now we're going to get that dressing drizzled over the top of this. And then we're going to get this into the refrigerator and we're going to let that dressing with that vinegar work on this salad while the pork cooks. All right, here's the dressing. Before I put this in, I am actually going to taste this just to make sure the seasonings are right. That's perfect. I'm not going to add anything to that. That honey has just a tiny bit of sweetness. There's a little bit of tang in there from the mustard. It's delicious. So I'm not going to pour the whole thing on. I'm going to go maybe about 2/3 and then mix this up because I don't want my coleslaw swimming in dressing. So we're going to start with about 2/3 of it and then add more if and as needed. Only I am going to get a fork. This is not a very good mixing utensil. All right, I'm definitely going to need more. I'll probably use up the rest of that dressing. All right, in we go with the rest. And we will get that all incorporated in here. Now this just to me sounds so delightful to have on hand, both for dinner tonight, maybe lunch tomorrow, just to beat the heat. A nice, cool salad with fresh, wholesome ingredients to nourish your mind and your body and to help with the heat. That sounds perfect to me. All right, this looks great. It's not swimming in dressing. Everything has a little bit of dressing on it. It's perfect. And that little bit of salt that we put into the dressing is going to help draw out a little bit of moisture from the cabbage. And so that is going to make it just a little bit soupy. And so we'll mix it up again before we go to serve it. But this looks great. I'm going to get this in the fridge and I'm going to get out everything we need to get going on the pork. All right, starting with the spices for the rub on the pork. We're starting with 2 teaspoons of paprika, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. And for brown sugar, I'm using Swerve. For this clip here, I did not turn my mic on, so I apologize for that. I am going to be doing a voiceover. For the nutrition here, we've got chili powder. Chili powder has capsaicin in it, and that's what gives it its little bit of heat. And capsaicin does help boost metabolism, aid in digestion, and have anti-inflammatory properties. It also has paprika, and paprika contains vitamin A, which is an antioxidant important for vision and immune function. Onion powder is a concentrated source of quercetin, which is also an antioxidant with anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer properties. Garlic powder helps lower blood pressure and cholesterol. Cumin is a spice that helps aid in digestion and blood sugar regulation. And black pepper contains pepperine, which is what gives the spice its little bite. And that may help improve nutrient absorption and also has antioxidant properties. So I'm going to be browning this in my cast iron skillet on the stove. I could use my Instapot to do the browning in. However, that is going to take multiple batches, and I think that I can get all of this pork roast, which is about 3.75 pounds, into the cast iron skillet, and that's just going to help speed things along. This pork came from my local farmer that I do a once a year pick up bulk order of beef and pork. And because this is pasture raised, the fat on here is actually loaded with vitamin D. If you buy pork in the grocery store and it's been conventionally grown where the hogs are inside, they're not exposed to, the outside elements and the sun, then you're getting very, very little vitamin D in the fat. But this is pasture raised, so I'm going to be feeding my family a healthy dose of vitamin D with this meal. And the pork itself probably has an average of 25 grams of protein per 3-ounce serving. So we're getting protein and we're getting vitamin D in this meal, along with all of the wonderful properties from the spices that we used. So I am just cutting this down into some pretty large pieces that I will be browning in the cast iron skillet. This does have a bone in it, so I'm cutting the bone away. I'm going to get as close to the bone as possible, but I don't mind so much if I do leave some meat on the bone, because this is going to go into the bag I have in the freezer with some other pork bones, so that this fall I can make some really nice pork broth for use in some soups or stews this winter. I am especially fond of pho, and if you have not made homemade pho broth before, I highly recommend it. It is a laborious process. It takes a couple of days, but oh my goodness, is it ever worth it? Now that I've got the pork down, cut down into the size that I want for browning in the pan, I'm going to go ahead and get the rub all over the pork. I'm starting to heat up the skillet because we are almost ready to put that in. I'm just going to do a couple turns of the pan here with some olive oil. And now I just want to make sure that I get the rub in all over every surface of the pork. So I'll season one side, I'll flip it, and I'm going to go for a total of 4 sides on this using all of the spice. Now I'm going to put all of these pieces into the pan. It's okay if they touch each other. I'm just trying to get them browned. The skillet is on a medium high right now. So I'm just trying to fit all of these pieces in so that I don't have to do this in multiple batches, and I can get it done a little bit quicker. I reserved just a little bit of the spice, and I will throw that on the meat as it's browning. And there we go. We did it. We got it all in. And I will let that go for probably 3 or 4 minutes before I check on it. And in the meantime, I am just going to get everything on the cutting board here cleaned up. All right, it's been about 3 minutes. Let's see how we're doing. That looks great. So we're just going to flip these. We've got 4 sides to brown. Give that about 2 minutes. About 2 more minutes. Almost there, and this smells amazing. All right, that is ready. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat off, open my Instapot, open up my trivet, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the pork right on top of that trivet. I haven't added any liquid to the Instapot yet. All right, we want to use about a cup of chicken stock for this. I have some homemade chicken stock here. And I'm going to deglaze the pan with about a half a cup. And I am going to scrape up all of those brown bits. And then I'm going to add the rest of the cup-ish. And then barbecue sauce. We're going to use 1 cup of barbecue sauce. I have homemade. This is a pint-sized jar, so that's 2 cups. So I'm going to pour about half of that in there. And the rest we'll use for serving. I'm going to do about 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, which is about what's left in this bottle. And then I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of Swerve brown sugar. You can also use honey. And I'm going to mix this up. Just blend everything together. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and pour this into the Instapot. I need to use both hands to do that because my hands and wrists have issues. I have avascular necrosis kind of throughout my body, so heavy objects are a little challenging for me. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard for me to open things. So 2 hands for me on this, and I'm going to pour towards me because that's easier, even though you can't see it as well. That's every bit of it. It just smells incredible. Okay, we're gonna get this locked on. We're gonna close the vent on top. We're gonna pressure cook on high for 60 minutes. And we are gonna let this come down on a natural release. So total cook time here is probably gonna be about 90 minutes, maybe even just a little bit more. Now, there's other ways that you can do this. You can do this in your slow cooker all day. just exactly what I did up until this point, but pour it into your slow cooker and let it go for 6 or 8 hours. You can also do this in a Dutch oven on your stove. I really enjoy it that way. More so in the winter, I do not want my oven heated to 300 degrees and running for 6 to 8 hours in the summer, especially not right now when we're in this heat wave. So if you don't have an Instant Pot, there are other ways that you can do this. But for now, I am gonna go kick my feet up after I do some dishes, and then I'll be back and show you what we've got when it's ready. Our pulled pork is done. Oh, let's take a look. Pressure has come down naturally, and letting it come down completely with a natural vent is really going to help redistribute the juices in there, make it really, really tender. This looks great. Some of them fell apart. That looks great. Very hot, very steamy, very aromatic. I am just going to take a big fork. This is so tender. A fork is all you need to shred this up. All right, I've got some extra barbecue sauce I'm going to put on here, but I also want to get just a little bit of the liquid from in the Instant Pot in here as well. Oh, I can't wait to taste this. Now, at this point, when you put the barbecue sauce on, you can, like I said earlier, you can put it on a bun. You can eat it just like this. I'm going to be doing it in a wrap with the coleslaw. All right, let's see. I am going to just ladle a little bit of this beautiful smelling liquid on here. Not a lot. I don't want it soupy, but there's so much flavor in here, and I need to take the trivet out to do that. Just a little bit more. That looks great. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of barbecue sauce to here. Not the whole jar, which is 1 cup left in here. I want to save just a little bit in the jar so people can use that as an extra condiment in their wrap or on their bun. I am hungry. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the Instant Pot out of the way. I do have my coleslaw here, so let me get this cleaned up and we're going to go ahead and make dinner. All right, I've got a plate with a tortilla wrap on it. These are Mission Carb Balance tortillas. They only have 70 calories per tortilla and only 2 net grams of carbs. So I'm going to put some pork on here. With a little bit of barbecue sauce. This is barbecue sauce that I canned 2 summers ago. Mix this up. Oh, this is creamy. This looks really good. And I'm just gonna top my pulled pork with some homemade quick slaw. Let's dig in. All right, this is probably gonna be a little bit messy because it's got sauce in it. It's got the coleslaw, so it might be a little drippy. Mmm. Mmm. That coleslaw is amazing. That raisin adds just that extra tiny little bit of natural sweetness. That pork is tasty. The coleslaw is perfect. It's still a little bit crunchy. It's going to be good in the refrigerator for about a week. And if we don't run through all of that, I'll probably throw it in the freeze dryer. But this is delicious. The pork is done perfectly. It almost melts in your mouth. It's got really good flavor from all of the spices we put in there. It's so tender from being pressure cooked. It is just a lovely meal. Didn't have to heat up the house to do it. And this is going to feed us for at least a couple of days. So I'm off the hook for cooking, at least for lunches for the next couple of days. Thank you so much for joining me here in my kitchen again for another episode of Tasty Tuesday. I do hope that you give this recipe a try. And if you do, please leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. And I do hope that you come back and visit me again soon.